Dave. Holy cow. Okay, I have 6:30. I see our clerk's car, but we'll start without her. Kim Kinsella, unfortunately, is suffering through the 10-day headache and other things and body ache. So, and I know, Keith, you were going to be with her anyway, so Keith, we'll turn it over to you. And I know you have distributed some hard copies to the board to a number of the talking points you're going to hit on today.
Is this Yep. Well, good evening, everybody. So this presentation is on the possibility of us hiring our own in-house construction inspector. The conversation started partially as a result of the developer complaints that we get over the cost of how we currently are doing the construction inspection. However, we also believe that by bringing this in-house, instead of having a consultant do it for us, it'll also give us greater communication and also better control the construction inspection process. Kim prepared a memo that I just gave you guys a hard copy of, but she emailed it to you a couple weeks ago. That is also complete with the job description that we came up with, and we took Ontario County's, the one that Farmington uses, and we kind of tweaked it for how we thought it would work for our town. So I'm just going to go over the job description first, just highlight a few things. So the position primarily would be for inspecting the work of outside contractors within the municipal right-of-way, things like water lines, sewer lines, storm drainage, sidewalks, roads, and the grading operations. All of these things, the construction inspector would be ensuring that they were to the contract specifications as well as in compliance with our Town of Victor design and construction standards. They would also complete daily reports on all aspects of the work that is being done, and they would be under the supervision of the Town of Victor Planning and Building Department. In addition to the general construction inspection, they would coordinate the easement and dedication process, along with working with letter of credit and maintenance bonds. For example, I did an inspection today with Mark and several other people at Drumlin's to close out a letter of credit, so they would take over that piece as well. They would also do things like SWIP inspection when needed, outfall inspections when needed, catch basin inspections when needed, and assist the highway department when they have time with stormwater maintenance, as well as create and maintain an inventory of sidewalks. However, this time of year, especially with the amount of projects we have going on right now, I would assume mostly full-time they would be doing the construction inspection piece. Currently, the developers post a letter of credit with the town for the whole project, and included in that letter of credit is for the construction piece and the administration. For the construction inspection piece and the administration, there's 4% in that letter of credit of the total value of the construction. Labella then bills the town, and then the town back bills the developer for the inspection invoices that we receive. Many times the cost of the inspection administration goes over the 4% that is figured and in the letter of credit. In the memo, Kim identifies some examples of a few of the letter credits and what the 4% looks like. We have Willis Hill Estates, Piper Meadows, Fairways Phase 3, and Bluemont and Southgate. So you can see the number of what the 4% of the total construction looks like. If we bring it in-house, we would collect that 4% up front, and then that would pay the salary of the person, the construction inspector that we would hire. The other thing that Kim wanted to make sure everyone was aware of is that we would still be reaching out to Labella for some of the administrative stuff, like the letter of credit recommendations, the approval of releases, a letter of credit, stuff like that. So that piece, because it came out of the 4% in the letter of credit, we would be paying, the town would be paying and not back billing. So the 4% we would collect up front would give the developers the same services. It'd just be, we would be collecting it up front instead of collecting it and then back billing it. Also, Debbie in finance Kim asked her to put together a list of where we stand currently to date with letter of credit releases, which I also gave you guys that spreadsheet in your packet. So you can see, like with Bluemont, it's not done yet, and we're already over the 4%. But then you can see other projects where we're close, probably going to go over, and then other projects where, you know, I would anticipate not going over. Planning to building department, she also wanted to know, is already equipped with the office space and a vehicle due to Al's retirement. She put a piece in there about the transition financially too, because we already have these the projects we have ongoing, we already have the letter of credits in place. So we were brainstorming some fair ways of trying to start off this process. One of which is whatever money they have left that they have not, that, you know, we have not, Labella has not already used in this piece, we would give them that money back out of their letter, release the money out of their letter of credit, but then ask them to give us a check for that amount. However, you know, we do just, I wanted everybody to be aware that, like with Bluemont, we're already over that number. So if we use that as our way of doing it, that money's already gone. So the other thought process we had, again, and just trying to be fair and equitable, is do we go project by project and figure out what 4% of what's left of the project is, and release all the money out of the letter of credit and collect that 4% from the developers? So those are just some ideas that Kim and I had come up with for the transition to this. Do you guys have any questions or comments?
So the road dedication, we would need the assistance of Labella for that. I would presume work with our construction inspector. And
Yes, so the way it currently
our highway
works,
superintendent, and
the way it currently works is Mary Stubline from Labella right now reaches out to the construction inspector for Labella, and also myself and sometimes Mark, to ask us what like the developer's engineer will hand in a request for a letter of credit release, and then Mary will then reach out to any of us in the field to figure out what reality is, and then they usually go back and forth, and then ultimately Labella writes Karen a letter, the town clerk a letter that states what should be released, and then that's what the town board ultimately sees in the resolution for the release.
But with this position, then, we would do all the heavy lift and then say, Mary, here it is.
Exactly, exactly. So there would still be a piece, but I think Kim put in her memo, would be like 1 to 3 hours is what she was estimating for that type of work. It would be far more on us than it currently is.
I think we've spoken of this before. Certainly what drove this was criticism from, you know, again, not that we listen to them all the time, but a number of these developers also reside in the town, but criticism of the inspections being done by Labella, individuals sitting in the truck while the work's being done, and then, you know, or they're there half a day but charging them for 8 hours and stuff like that. So I think there's better accountability here that we certainly reduce or eliminate that form of criticism under the yourself and Kim, certainly filling the days of these individuals. Certainly, I think will eliminate that. So I think this, you know, my own. And then anytime I would have these conversations with Labella and say, listen, this developer X, he says feels he's overcharged by $2,000. He said, okay, we'll make a credit. We'll give you, you know, and that never doesn't. It might have pacified that developer at that time through that process, but it certainly never eliminated the issue, and the issue is not going to be eliminated. So it seems to have worked in Farmington, but I think I like the way you and Kim have proposed this. It's branching out. It's not just, you know, because we probably don't need a 40-hour per week for 52 weeks of the year for construction inspection today, but certainly what you've included here, certainly anything stormwater related, assistance at a highway department certainly makes a lot of sense.
Well, we also talked about, just to share with the other board members if you weren't privy to that, we also talked about the fact that Kim and Keith will also be able to fill in and help map our sidewalks. You know, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be updated, and, you know, what the width is and how many miles, and, you know, that kind of stuff as we move forward on the sidewalk stuff too. So I'm 100% behind this. I think it's a great idea, because at the end of the day, the egg is still on our face as a town of Victor, whether our contractors have performed what we expect them. But if we set the bar and expect it coming out of our office, which we've been very happy with what's been coming out of Kim's office and codes, then I think we have more accountability and better footing for Mark and Keith and everybody else when they're out there, that these guys, this person is working for the town of, for the benefit, the sole benefit for the town of Victor.
You shared with me earlier today that there's a project that's already, there was, I think, $50,000 dedicated for letter of credit, and they've already exceeded that, and their project is what, 50% done or less?
Maybe a little over 50, but not a lot over 50, yeah. Bluemont is already over.
So this will be a battle.
Right.
Any other comments for Keith? Yes, please.
Keith, and I think we spoke about this when we initially were throwing this idea around, but as far as cost recovery, so through the inspections that are being completed and, and the revenue coming in from those, from the developers, do we have an assessment of what percentage of the total salary for this employee that would kind of be covered by the cost recovery from those inspections?
So I think if you look at the numbers that Kim presented in the memo of just the projects we have ongoing, I think that it would be close to 100%.
All right.
If you look at the,
And I would kind of echo what we've talked about and what we talked about previously, that, that's, and that question is certainly a component of it for me, but I think that the benefits that we've discussed are, at least in my opinion, seem to be very valid, and really bringing it in-house. I think that in seeing how, the planning and building department works and how they meet regularly, and, really the roundtable that occurs there, I think bringing that into that internal conversation and having that person be present, day to day, I think would really help the process in that department.
And I think you made a key point, cost recovery. This isn't about making money on a developer. It's providing a service in-house, and our hopes are to recover all the cost of this individual.
yeah, it depends on, in the moment, how much development is coming in and out, but if you look at what we have going on right now, like currently right now, it would be 100%, obviously that varies from time to time, but.
I think ultimately that's a win-win for us then, because if we are recovering at least a majority of that of that job, as we said, there's going to be other roles in downtimes or in slower periods for development where they might be able to assist with other projects. So I certainly am supportive of this.
I'm supportive of it. I mean, I think it's got just the response time on our part, the direct connection, rather
Right.
than a middleman taking out the gray area. Having you guys have instant answers rather than waiting, that in itself is worth the majority of this. I think it gives you more control, which I think we need. So I'm all for it.
I think it's going to be an important hire, but I think we have to be careful because of the relationship building that they're going to have to do, and between, this new person coming into the group and dealing with some tough characters, let's say, in the development world. So I think it's going to be very important that we get the right person. But I agree, it's an important role. We need to fill it. But again, just got to make sure it's the right person.
I think that's an outstanding point, and Keith, you've been out there as well, and have to deliver bad news or use the word no on numerous occasions, and, it could be a little intimidating.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, I guess, yes, Rich?
Real quick
I mean,
question. I know
you-
Jack had mentioned it, and I've heard it as well. Is there a benefit to the contract for the complaint about 4% fee? They see the
So it depends on the project, and honestly, a lot of times the developer and the contractor the developer is using. But like if you go through the list and look at and compare it to the spreadsheet that Debbie prepared for us, I think in many cases, historically, they go over the 4%. Where now up front they're going to know what that cost is. It is 4%, but the majority of these projects, by the time the project is done, they have well exceeded 4%. In the Labella fees,
will
so,
we then charge them
no,
to cap it?
4% upfront was the discussion that we had, I mean,
Yeah, and I think, the intent being that, in-house, we're going to do a better job and hold their feet to their fire, because this body has that opportunity, the planning department comes back to us and says, listen, it's not working. It's going to be 5%, and here's why. You know what? This body makes that decision just like that. Well, right now, it's Labella just draining them, and with us, with little or no say whatsoever. So, great question. So at this point, I think we have we'll get together with HR, take this updated job description, she'll run it up to the county civil service, get their input whatsoever, and then I think it's offering a test and things like that, and, so I know with HR involvement, so.
Okay,
Okay?
sounds good. Kim and I will get in touch with her.
Yeah, if you could follow up, and well done on both of you. If you could do me a great favor, and take that little mic and bring it over there at the end, so.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Okay, thanks. Let's sit on the workshop and on hold till 7 PM.